When I'm appraising a car, I look at the car as if I'm going to write the check myself. I notice things right off the bat. The bumpers are pitted a little bit, push button is pitted, NFE shows me it's aluminum. This comes up as steel. It has a really nice original dashboard, an original steering wheel.
I didn't know it was that special.
You thought it might be worth more today.
I'm getting goosebumps, Comer.
Hey, Jeff.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you for bringing your Dino down for what could be a dangerous proposition.
Oh no,
Well,
I'm prepared.
tell me a little bit about the car, like how long you've owned it and what do you know about it?
This is a 1969 Ferrari Dino 246 GTL. This is a number 462, apparently the fourth in the United States.
And what do you do with it? Do you just keep it in like your living room and polish it?
No, I don't. I'll take this car out, probably 8-10 times a year, take it for a good 30-40 mile, type of jaunt. And I bought this car about 7-8 years ago for $425,000.
So here's how this is gonna work. I'm gonna go and pick apart your car and I'm gonna come up with a number.
Okay.
And then we're gonna bring you back in and I'm gonna tell you that number and we're gonna see if I'm half right or half wrong again. And we'll
Sounds
see in
fun.
a little bit.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So now we're here with Jeff's Dino all alone, ready to check it out. It's an L model, which is an early 246. They made just 357 of them. So in the Dino world, an L model is desirable. First, I want to take in the general condition of the car and look around it and just get a feel for it. And I always look at panel gaps and just how the glass fits, how the trim looks. I note how things like these ferret-in marker lights, turn signals fit the body, how the headlights fit, how the hood fits. If there's a problem, sometimes it'll jump out at you. Like I'm looking here at this side marker, this nice little European side marker. This one's a little loose, it's poking out. So again, just signs of an older car that's been driven and enjoyed and not made flawless. Obviously an extremely nice car. It's a beautiful Dino. I mean, these are one of the best looking cars ever made. But when I start looking a little closer, I notice things right off the bat. I notice there's a color variance between the engine lid and the trunk lid. The bumpers are pitted a little bit, push button is pitted. Little things that show the car is an old car that's been used and driven and enjoyed, but not necessarily a concourse car. One of the interesting features of the L Dinos is that they have alloy doors, an alloy hood, and an alloy engine cover versus steel like the later production 246s. My handy lie detector also has a feature that detects ferrous oxide and non-ferrous oxide, so aluminum or steel in other words. This trunk lid and the engine cover should be aluminum. NFE, non-ferrous oxide, so that's good. This one too is aluminum. Now if we compare it to, let's say, the quarter panel, this comes up as steel. Again, this checks out as aluminum. And if you note, my paint meter is showing, besides telling me what the panel is made out of, it's showing me the paint thickness. Those two panels said infinite, so they're too thick for this to read. So there's probably some filler or extra layers of paint back there. Now 11 mils of paint on the roof, so that's good. This is aluminum, so that checks out, and the paint's relatively thin, so I'm liking all of that. These Dinos are notorious rusters. I can feel around under the rocker panels. I'm feeling for any bulges or bubbling or anything odd. All of this is pretty nice. So in here, it's nice. It has a correct spare tire. The inside of the hood, the alloy skin looks nice. I see some hammer marks in here, but that's how it would have come from the factory because again, it was hand built. So they used pick hammers and went all over these and made everything the shape they wanted it. This fiberglass panel here looks like it's been, coated with some kind of a chip guard or undercoating and resprayed, so it might have had some repair. This fiberglass is pretty fragile. It's had a battery cutoff switch added to it, not uncommon. I'm gonna look inside the engine compartment and the trunk. Clearly this heat insulation around the fuel line is not factory, but it's a good idea. The cam covers and the engine have either been powder coated or all spray painted in place. So years ago, when you would clean up one of these cars to make it look nice, this is the kind of stuff you would do. You would just clean it and spray it up when this was a $30,000 or $40,000 car. But now you add zeros to those numbers and the standard is a little higher today. Jeff has the original jack and tools. Let's just take a peek and see what he's got in here. Make sure they're not tools from somebody's Honda lawnmower. An early L model should have a 206 GT owner's manual. He has a nice history file and service history. So this looks like it goes pretty far back. This is all really valuable, good stuff. I took the liberty of taking this chassis number and emailing my friend Marcel Massini in Switzerland, who's the big Ferrari historian. He has a great database of almost every Ferrari out there. It's an early 246L Dino. It was originally fly yellow with this black and tan colored interior and the wood steering wheel and all the other cool stuff of an early L model should have. One other thing we see a lot on Dinos is that people couldn't resist the urge to put a Ferrari badge on the cars. Thankfully, this car still has a Dino GT emblem. It has a nice, correct Anza exhaust. It has the European bumpers with the license plate lights and these early reverse lamps, all these cool little features that got lost on later cars. So now that I have a pretty good feel for what I think this car is worth, I'm gonna go pull the owner in and tell him and see how he reacts. Jeff.
Hi.
Come on in.
Okay.
Come stand by your baby. I've gone over your car, checked it all out. I like the car. It's a great car. There are some things that will affect value since that's what we're here to talk about. Now you said you think it's a condition 1 minus. I think it's more like a 3. You know, it's a really nice driver. It's a, you know, older kind of sympathetic restoration. As for value, you bought this car at like the all-time high watermark for Dinos.
Yeah, probably.
Thankfully today, it's rebounding quite well. If you were to sell it today, I think you would get your money back. But today, the way the Dino market is going, I think the longer you wait is probably gonna be the better.
If I can get my money back on these things, I mean, I look at it as a childhood dream come true that I pay no money for.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks
it's very
again for bringing it
helpful,
down.
and I appreciate the experience. Thank you so much. I think it's very fair. The fact that I've driven that car for whatever, 8 years and made a childhood dream come true as just one car and paid nothing for it, really.
My name's Bob Rubens. I bought a 1965 Shelby Cobra.
Well, Bob, you're not gonna believe this, but I heard you coming.
Hard to believe.
Thanks for bringing a real Cobra to be subjected to this torture.
Well, my pleasure. Purchased it in March of 1973. The guy wanted $7,800 and we got him down to $7,750.
Wow.
Yeah. I rebuilt it in my parents' garage 2 years after I bought it. The engine that's in it right now is what's known as, as a cross-bolted side oiler. It's basically bulletproof, and the original engine, which is a center oiler, is sitting in the garage at home on a stand. So,
pretty good idea, because a lot of the value in these things comes from things like original engines and whatnot. All right, so we're here for one particular reason, and that is for me to go over your car, check it out, and we'll pull you back in here and I'll tell you my opinion, and I'll step back a little bit just in case you get
so I can vent.
A little ornery, yeah,
Okay.
and then we'll go from there.
That's a deal.
All right, see you in a minute.
All righty, thank you.
When I'm appraising a car, I look at the car as if I'm going to write the check myself. This is in my wheelhouse. I specialize in Shelbys and Cobras. What I'd like to do is kind of show you what I look for so you can see a Cobra through my eyes and also kind of get a feel for what a real one looks like. The first thing is, this is a narrow hip Cobra. They have a narrower rear quarter panel on them. As you can see, the tires tucked up nice and tight. For years they fell out of favor and people would cut them up and make them into a wide hip car to make them look more like the competition car. Thankfully, Bob hasn't done that. He has done some things that are common as well. He took off the original undercar exhaust that would exit in the rear under the bumpers, and he put on these side pipes. He's also added a hood scoop, which would not have been original on a street car. Today, that's a value detriment. I should mention I've looked this car up in the Shelby registry. Bob's car has a clean history. But just looking around the car, it does have the original sunburst wheels. The nice thing about walking around a Cobra is you don't have to look far. You can kind of take in everything almost in one field of vision here. I can see all the door gaps. I can see the interior. It has really nice original seats. It has a really nice original dashboard, the correct gauges, an original steering wheel. It has the original gas cap on it. Under the hood, I can see certain things. It's had a hood scoop cut into it. It has an electric cooling fan added. I'm not harping on side pipes, but the side pipes, when you put them in here, you have to cut a hole in the body, but where you have to run the side pipe out of is where the battery was located originally on a street Cobra. He's put the batteries behind the passenger seat, like a 427 SC or competition car. The engine, he has the original engine. He's told me it's rebuilt and it's on a stand, and he's given us nice pictures of it. It looks totally correct. Repairing this, painting the car, putting the engine in, putting the battery back where it belongs. At a good shop, maybe you're gonna spend $50,000. Maybe if you get crazy, you spend $75,000. But what that might add to the value could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, because collectors today want a car that is exactly as it left the factory. Looking at a body on a Cobra, you wanna make sure the aluminum is original, the chassis is original, the stuff hasn't been bent up. I've looked at the chassis for the original chassis number stamping. It's there. This is an honest, pure 427 Cobra. This wheel is made out of aluminum and wood. People hoist themselves in and out of the car, pulling on the steering wheel, and sometimes they fold it over, have to replace the wheel. This is a really nice wheel. The original Smith's gauges, and it has a little warning on the speedometer that it would have come from the factory with, that survived all these years. These are original leather seats. Another thing that's really rare, because the Cobra, let's face it, there's really no weather protection, even with the top on it. This car is signed by Shelby. However, it's not signed on the dashboard. If you want to take this off and put it somewhere safe, you can do that. Put another one on. Another good thing about Bob's car is that it's the original color, and it's a desirable color. It's a Guardsman blue, narrow hip 427. He has the original jack. He has the original grease gun, the original jack handles that one guy has owned for 48 years. That's a unicorn in this world. That's really uncommon. This car gets a perfect score. They're all there. I know what the car is all about, and I think I know what it's worth.
Oh, Colin, what's up?
Your car is great, but you know that. I mean, it's a real deal 427 Cobra. You've owned it long enough that you would have fleshed out any problems, I guess, along the way. You'd mentioned that a fellow showed up with $600,000 in cash, and you told him to go home and no free lunch from him that day.
Indeed.
In today's market, I think if you were going to sell the car, the buyer of your car would want it factory correct with the undercar exhaust and no hood scoop, and move the batteries back up, or move the battery back up front, that kind of thing. Where you thought it might be worth more today, and you're correct. I think today your car is worth $1 million more than what that auctioneer offered you a couple years ago.
Go.
If you were to take the car and put on the original exhaust, put the original engine in it, I think we could get you $2 million, maybe $2.1 million.
I'm getting goosebumps, Comer.
I mean, we're talking about a narrow hip 427 Cobra that you've owned for 48 years.
Yeah.
That history doesn't happen. You have a very special car, not that I'm telling you anything you don't know.
I didn't know it was that special.
Right, so now you have a real problem. You're probably afraid to start the damn thing and drive it out of here.
Yeah.
I always enjoy talking to a Cobra owner. You followed your heart and you bought a good car and you were smart enough to keep it.
Follow your heart, I like that.
Follow your heart.
That's why it's still sitting here.
Thank you so much for bringing it.
Thank you, Colin.
You have a special car.
Okay, thank you.
And keep treating it the way you do.
A little bit shocking. I mean, it's an obnoxious car in the summertime. It's loud, it's hot, and it melts the ears away. I think it'll be sticking around for a while.